Let me tell you the true Halloween Cincinnati experience.
Okay.
You have a traditional Midwest. Your kids get dressed up. I dressed up as a broom because that's my life.
Oh,
Go around,
you're something. I'll just say that.
go around the neighborhood. You do that,
Sure.
whatever, and then you
Sure. How's
come
your
home and
back this
watch
morning?
your favorite sports team get embarrassed on national TV. And
Yeah,
that's kind of it.
I didn't get to see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. I mean, the Bengals cannot beat the Browns. It doesn't matter. Everyone, like, it annoys me because everyone's like, "Oh, the Browns, they're easy." I'm like, "No, they're not. No, they're really not.
No,
Like, they're
I always say this with football about matchups, and there might be a team that doesn't have a good record, or they do great against or poorly against some teams, but for some reason, everyone has that foil, you know?
well, ours is apparently backup quarterbacks because that they continuously just polish the turd that is my fandom, and yep.
Well, should be used to that by now, Bernard. Come on.
But we had one good year, and I was like, maybe the tides are
Sure you
turning.
did. One good year of also ran.
And I will talk about that year until I am 93.
Let me tell you about the good years I had as a Boston sports fan. How much time do you have?
Oh man, that was bad. That was bad.
Hey,
So
we got to talk about Call of
I
Duty.
was about to say. So did you ever get it downloaded?
Yeah, that took a long time. You saw, I sent you the things. So, my God, I just, for everyone else's edification, I preloaded this game. I unplugged the console. Just in case something big bad happened, I unplugged everything in here. So, system update had to install when I turned it on for the first time. 46 gigabyte, I think was the number. Update to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Go through all that, click, 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 click. Oh, there's another update. I want to say that was 9 gigabytes. Okay. Reboot. Well, no, sorry, there wasn't a reboot. Just reboot the game. And it sat there installing, I think, for an hour. An incredible amount of time. But I got it. So here's what I'm going to say. I don't know quite how to. The pros and cons here, as I asked you, and I think
Mm-hmm.
apparently not apparently, what I've discovered since then is an entire world of players woke up on that morning and said, I'm going to jump into my favorite game mode, and it was not there, which is the hardcore game
And those
modes.
people were called Halo players. Oh, sorry, Call of Duty. Call of Duty. Sorry, we're talking
Yeah.
about Halo was
So
even
just to
worse.
be,
But yeah,
yeah, right. Well, two different approaches to the
yeah.
same problem. We're not going to be done on day one. How do we solve that problem, right? So Activision they needed because of Vanguard to go ahead, and so they shipped us incomplete game. There's no barracks.
Yeah.
There's no hardcore. There's a lot of things missing.
Oh,
So
here's another fun one, Paul.
mhm,
This is tragically comical.
mhm.
So if you're playing in a group, you may have seen a commercial called Squad Up by Call of Duty. They're like, hey, get your squad, go play together. So you all go play together, you play a match. So if you are not the host of the room, so if you're one of the other
Don't even tell
five
me
other people,
you don't get credit for this.
no. You cannot see what you unlocked. Sometimes, whatever. But more importantly, you cannot edit any of your loadouts if you're in that party.
That's in the game.
Not
Like
within the game.
while you're in a squad.
Right, but after the game, so
Okay.
after action report comes up, shows like the scores and all that stuff, and then you go right back into the lobby. In that lobby, you cannot edit your loadouts
Well,
unless
I'll
you're the
tell you,
host.
one of my big pet peeves with this game, which is not unique to this one title, but it is a huge problem in this one, is it's really complicated to know, like the loadout editing screen, whatever you
Oh,
call
it's
that.
terrible.
Oh, it's the worst. And I've not experienced it now in the game, but during the beta, I could never finish. You would stare at it for like, what is going on here? And you try to make a few small changes, and then the game would start. Like you never had enough time.
Yep.
Not that I want games to take a long time to restart, but you really had to back out of the lobby and it just was too time consuming. That's still a problem. No hardcore. I do hardcore team deathmatch, and not to just bore the living hell out of everybody, but to be clear, what that means is in the hardcore games, pretty much, I mean, because you can build your characters up and connect this in a little bit, but should someone they're gone, like
Hmm.
there's and so when you're used to playing that style of game, what do you call it when you kind of hit someone in the game?
Melee.
Melee. So a melee attack in hardcore typically is fatal, right? You do the one hit, the guy's dead, that's it. So when you go to a non-hardcore game like just regular team deathmatch, first of all, I'm years of play. You what you see three guys or something. You shoot him once, you turn to the next guy. This guy's not dead because you just hit him once, and then he shoots you and you die. Because in the normal games, it's not one shot kill. Typically, it's whatever. So during the beta, that was the one little learning curve or issue for me. Like I had to remember, like make sure he's dead, which is good advice, I think. Anyway, but interestingly, after spending 5 minutes, am I missing something? Where's okay, I guess I'm playing team deathmatch. Honestly, I've had a lot of one-hit kills. Like
there's worked. A ton of weapons that can do it. If you get a shotgun can do it.
So maybe I just got lucky I just use assault rifles for the most part. So anyway, that's been interesting. However, to my detriment twice now, melee, no, that's not going to kill him. So I walked up to a guy, it's like bang. He knocks back. He turns and looks at me, and I'm like, "Why isn't he dead?" And he kills me, So I hit him, Anyway, this solves the problems with the previous two games, the previous two Modern Warfare Black Ops games. Lag, latency, all this stuff. Graphics are fantastic.
Yep.
The maps are the right size. They're not like stupid big or stupid small, I guess, in some cases, but they seem like they've gotten that right. And I feel like they must have done some work. They must have looked at this and said, what did we get wrong? How do we make it more like that classic Modern Warfare style? The other thing is, because this is the game we're going to be playing for 2 years, there's stuff missing. They're going to add stuff over time. Like this game's going to get better. In some ways, the thing I'm looking forward to most is next year, right? When we get all those awesome classic maps from the past. I think that's going to be amazing. But I have to say, with one exception, and this is just straight up team deathmatch, the maps are good.
Yeah, there's one map that I really don't. Whatever the one with all the cars that's like a highway that you're on. So that one I've not actually experienced, but I did read that's a problem. Yeah, that's a bad one. That's a bad map. So
yeah, there's one other map I can't remember. That's not as good, but mostly great. So
yeah, I like it.
Took me 2 hours to get into it, but
yeah, I want to wait and see what
Warzone games already too.
2 looks like, because that's where I spent most of my time.
So there were some Spec Ops missions, like we do like a 2 people co-op, go through a mission, whatever. I used to do this with my son, back in the Rainbow Six days was a big thing. But apparently those missions take place on that Warzone map. So if you want to get yourself accustomed to it early, little pieces of it, yeah, you could do the spec. I have not looked at it, but that's what I read. So.
Interestingly, Warzone comes out in like 2 weeks.
So this is also a 16th delivery?
I think so. I think it's like I think it's that update where all this stuff drops, which is
it's incredible to ship this without Warzone.
Well, remember Warzone didn't ship with the last one either. It shipped in like a December or something, or was it in the fall? I can't remember. It didn't ship at the same time as the game. It was kind of just it showed up. So.
And do you think you'll ever go back to single player?
I mean, I beat the campaign, so.
Yeah. Oh, you beat it. Oh, then why would you bother?
Yeah, I wouldn't play the campaign again. No, I'm not achievement hunting by any means. I finished that. That's done. I'll definitely play the multiplayer, because like the way that they do it is if you want to level up your guns, it's way easier to do it in multiplayer than it is in Warzone, just because of
course
the way.
it is.
Yeah,
and look, this system is so complex, it's kind of not even worth discussing. But my understanding is, when you add an attachment to a gun, because you've leveled up to that point where you can't add it, I guess you get that for all guns of that
Dude, I can't figure this out. It's something like that. It doesn't make sense, because what happens is that's what's supposed to happen, but then you can't use those on other weapons until you get those weapons into a specific level. So, like if you unlock sights for all the ARs, that's great. Then you go switch to another AR, and like I can't use the sight. Well, you have to level it up to something like.
You do those things for achievements, but or for leveling up gun purposes, whatever. But I mean, whatever the basic sight is, not the one you get with the gun, but the one that comes next. Like that's the one I always want. Like you go to these laser sites and they have different blah 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 whatever, and it's like they just get in the way. All it is like a thing in this blocking the screen. Like anyway, all right. Well, I'm happy to report after several years, I'm finally going to play a new Call of Duty game, and like I feel good about it, because that has been a huge problem for me. Good. Huge problem. Yeah.
Well, we're happy for you. People who aren't happy are probably PlayStation. Although PlayStation earnings were interesting. A lot of their consoles and hardware sales were down. their subscriptions were down year over year too, but their revenue was actually pretty good for Sony as a whole. So
I haven't looked at the news yet. I was, as Brad knows, I got back late walking. I almost said walking the dog. Walking without the dog. So we did. So I haven't seen the news yet, but I'll
so
get
yeah,
right
so
in
there's
on
that.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer reiterating that Call of Duty will always be on PlayStation for the nighttime. Although there's some news expected. I haven't had to read all this yet, but it was supposedly that Microsoft's EU, they're waiting on the EU for their Activision stuff, is that it wasn't going their way.
And they offered no concessions whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I think the deal is if Microsoft formally agrees to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation as long as there is a PlayStation, which is how Phil Spencer said it, then I don't understand what the problem is. Right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Sony being Sony, just tossing lobbying money.
No, they gotta do what they can. Like I get that. I mean, you're gonna fight it as much as you can. Like Microsoft didn't want Google to get DoubleClick. Microsoft didn't want Amazon to re-win the whatever that thing was called, the Jedi contract with the government. You fight as you can, but I don't. Objectively, them buying this doesn't impact the competitive landscape in any negative way, I think.
I would agree, but we'll wait and see.
We don't work for Sony.
Yeah, we do not.
So,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I know. Well, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So, the only other thing, depending on when you listen to this, in about 30 minutes, so probably about 15 minutes after this podcast goes live, there's going to be, just because I'm a rocket nerd, they're going to launch the Falcon Heavy, which is the first time in 3 years, which has this 2-side boosters, and it should be quite the spectacle. So,
where's that going up from?
I believe Florida.
Okay.
So it's
I
just
told
fun.
so yeah, here where we're going to want to watch it on TV, I guess. We saw a rocket launch from Florida over Pennsylvania.
Really?
On the coast, I guess. Yeah, I took pictures of it. We were at a outside bar thing a couple of weeks ago. It was some guy was out. We were under something outside, but some guy out on the edge. He said, "Hey guys, you might want to come and look at this."
How many weeks ago was this?
A month ago.
So that might have been. They launched one out of Virginia.
I think it was a SpaceX delivering something. It was something like that. But anyway, we didn't know at the time. It looked like a UFO. So I jokingly said to the guy who I didn't know, I said, "This better be good if I'm getting up for this." And I was like, "Yep, this was good. Thank you."
Just like this podcast.
It was just like you've seen planes go over. It's just a light.
Yeah.
But this was going at an angle up, and it had I think it was 3, maybe 4, but jettisoned bits or whatever. It was interesting.
And then about 2 weeks later, the SLS will launch, hopefully, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Good time for space stuff.